everybody, and welcome to Across the Bifrost, where on each and every episode we explore the world of Marvel's mighty Thor. I am your host today, the Immortal Faz. You might be wondering where Ryan is. I've officially locked him away behind the Utgard realm with an Utgard key. We can partially open that door, but we can't fully open it until a few issues down the road. No, Ryan's not available today. Chill Will's not available today. So I have assembled what I think is a bigger, better, one might even say giant-sized Warriors 3 for this issue of Immortal Thor. My first co-host for the day is one of our biggest Hercules fans in the known universe, at least across the 9 realms. Eric Teskey's here today. Eric, how's it going, man?
Doing great. Another fantastic Hercules appearance. You know, I'm just beaning my guys out there doing Hercules stuff. So yeah, couldn't be more excited.
And the deific duo returns, and with Eric, who, for keen-eared listeners might have noticed, is going to be our Hercules of this new terrific trio of this new Warriors 3. We've got Josh Link today. Mr. Josh, how's it going?
Doing great, Faz. How you doing?
Oh, I'm living the dream, buddy. Ryan has fully lost the reins to the goat boat for the first time since a Faz birthday spectacular. So this is a rare bonus for the rest of us. Now, Josh has asked for a very specific character that is a little different for our Warriors 3 style missions. As I said, I'm the Immortal Faz. That means I'll be Thor today. Josh has selected the Mangog.
That's right. I'm containing the multitudes of billions within me right now.
That makes sense. Every one of our listeners is currently in Josh. All billions and billions and billions right there. That's our big 3 today, listeners. We've got a fantastic issue today. Very briefly, we've got the all-star Al Ewing writing. We've got the amazing Jan Basil Dua doing the art, and we've got Hollingsworth doing the pencil or the colors. This is a great issue. And rather than doing what we usually do, where Ryan kind of summarizes it for us, I want to jump right in, guys. What'd you think of this initial scene? We start off with kind of a prequel explaining the dawn of Zeus and retelling an old Greek tale. What do we think, guys? Eric, why don't we start with you? You're at the top of the screen.
Oh my goodness. So I love this stuff because it makes it feel really important. It is really important for the world building. I actually made a PowerPoint family tree trying to keep track of all this stuff because it's just wild. I don't know if you can see it.
I can.
I totally geeked out on it.
So but Eric, can you go ahead and read this out for the listeners because they won't be able to see it?
Oh my God. So we know the demiurge is it's the face in the sky that Al Ewing loves. It's the face in the sky that's like really the creator of all the elder gods. Gaia is one of the elder gods. Gaia and the demiurge had Uranos, the first sky father. Gaia had a child with her son, because I guess you do that if you're ancient gods.
It's Greek Norse mythology. It's just the way whatever. It is. Yeah.
So Gaia and Uranos had Cronus. Gaia and Uranos also had Rhea. Rhea and Cronus had, I wrote on the chart, many eaten children. Because Cronus has been eating all of them to try to stave off a prophecy that he's going to be taken down by one of his kids. And so in the comics, Rhea said that she had this secret child that Cronus doesn't know about. And she said that she had him with, I think, some other unnamed father, which actually departs from the actual classic mythology where it would be Zeus is the son of Cronus. I think now they're sort of interjecting this other mystery father that makes Zeus sort of Cronus's stepson. But anyway, so that's my overly pedantic and entirely nerdy family tree, because it was, it's weird to keep track of all these different things, but it is important because it's also if this was my first time realizing this, that Thor is Zeus's uncle. And
oh
yeah.
That sounds kind of weird. Thor is Zeus's uncle, but Thor was born later than Zeus. So there you have it, folks.
Well, given their general maturity levels, that makes sense to me. Especially this current Thor we're dealing with. That's really interesting. Josh, how do you feel when they retell classic myths like this with a nice Al Ewing spin to them?
Well, so I'm of two minds when it comes to Thor and his portrayal in comics. When he's on the Avengers, I'm like, just give me superhero stuff. When he's in his solo series, I'm like, give me mythology. I love all the mythology. So when they start bringing in the Greek mythology as well, this is like my happy place. I love this stuff. And this is one of my favorite Greek myths already. I noticed they kind of changed up the spellings on some of these names, and I suspect that's mostly due to these characters already existing as Eternals. So they had to change the names ever so slightly so they're not quite the same. But Uranos and Cronus, those are just very interesting characters, and we even get it's very similar to the Goya painting of Saturn eating his children, which is Saturn's the Romanized version of the Greek god Cronus. So love seeing that, and just I don't know, I just love this stuff. I love the mythology, and I love the way that Gaia's drawn in this opening bit. She looks terrifying by the end. Like early on, she looks just kind of like your typical Earth goddess, I would say. And then by the end, she's got these glowing yellow eyes and the claws outstretched. I love this stuff. This is right up my alley.
And the slow change, right, from scene to scene, where she starts out just as a little weird, but nowhere near the Roberson version that was much scarier when she was last seen. And it ends at about that same position, right? It's I agree with you guys wholeheartedly. Like, the art is stunning in this mythology part, and it's nice to see Al connecting all of Marvel's mythology together. He's spoken before, and we've seen in the letters that, like, don't worry too much about how this connects to the rest of the Marvel mythos. It's not a matter of, is the demiurge higher than the one above all or anything like that. Just take it for what it is, roll with it. But there are some characters, like the Greek pantheon, that he legitimately gets to play with and gets to kind of reframe how it goes. And it's cool to see him take that opportunity to take what they were doing with Zeus and Guardians, tie it all together, and make it work this way. Now, the next thing that's...
A couple things I wanted to point out here. So we see some hints that are dropping, and we're seeing these themes over and over again. So Gaia is holding baby Zeus in her hand, and she's wondering out loud about this sort of prophecy, thinking about, like, are you going to be my mercy? Are you going to be my champion? And we know that later on she calls Thor her mercy, right? So like Thor is playing that role. So it's almost like Zeus was maybe destined to be that at first, but there's something about him that was flawed or that didn't fit. And so Thor is sort of filling that same role. Just really interesting, making these characters seem like they're just have more and more parallels, or that they have more connections than we originally think. Yeah, I think that's fascinating. And it makes they don't have to give all of the answers away. It just makes you wonder about all this ancient stuff. I agree. It's like, that's really not kind of the point of this. It just gives you enough mystery and backstory to make it feel grandiose and to make it feel like immortal and big stakes. But then it kind of gets into the action and the adventure of the day.
Well, and just like you said, the prophecy stuff, the idea that each Skyfather isn't just there because they're the Skyfather and they do the things, but Gaia's trying to make this come true, and she's just missing each time until she finally lands on Thor and she knows he's the guy. Like the quote, "Is that you, little one? Have you the quickness of mind, the strength of spirit? Can you bear the worthy burden in your hand? Are you the sacrifice?" Looks him in the eyes and says, "No. The potential's there, but you have your father's eyes. And I fear you cannot gain the necessary wisdom." And she uses him as a prototype to see what Thor should be, essentially. A pattern for the one to come as the final test. And she sort of lines up what's going to happen in this issue by setting Zeus up here, right? She imbues him with the power of the lightning. She marks him with the shadow of the wheel, and so on and so forth. And we get a bit more Utgard stuff, which is very cool. We talk about how there's a gate, but only a crack can be opened by this key. It doesn't swing the whole thing open, just enough to kind of let them in a little bit. And then we get into the real issue here, guys. That was all the prelude. It was very exciting, very deep, lore heavy. And we jump back into where we last saw our deific duo with Zeus ready to kick some ass. Anybody want to catch up the listeners on what happened last time we saw Thor and Hercules?
Well, last time Thor and Hercules were out looking for Nyx, the Night Mother, the goddess of night, and they find her and they're squaring off and they're battling, and then Loki sort of pulls the rug out from under everybody and sends them all into this completely pitch black realm. This opens a portal and sends them completely into a different area where we know Nyx is going to be at her strongest, but there's something else in there with them. And the final page of the previous issue was just this reveal that, oh my gosh, Dark Zeus is there. And we know from the last Guardians run that Dark Zeus is a badass and a villain now. He is not just the regular Zeus from the Pantheon. He is drawn almost in negative in blues and whites and purples, showing that he's sort of like the inverse. This was how he was reborn after Nyx killed him and the entire Greek Pantheon in Avengers No Road Home. So that's why we have blue purple Zeus, in case people were wondering.
Yeah, and this is a great time to point out that first kind of splash panel of Zeus. The wheel has turned and Zeus has risen from death. Freaking awesome. That lightning looks so good. The negative colors are drawn so well. Great job, Jan. You're killing it as our main artist. And each issue so far has been even better than the previous one. Can't wait to see what happens next.
And the facial expressions too. So that's one thing I think that the facial expressions are so hard to match. We've had so many good, I think, examples in the first arc of Thor where the facial expressions they do so much acting, and that was such a good, important part of Al Ewing's run. And I think that Jan is really upped their game to capture some of these facial expressions. That was something I think I've seen other comics they've done that I wasn't quite as sold on. There's like this range where if a character is so far from the camera, if they're in the background enough, the face gets really simplified. And so I think having these close-up expressions where it really they're able to do a lot of acting, I was really pleased with that.
Yeah, it definitely seems like their best work so far. Because I agree, I've seen their stuff. They've done some really good stuff. I didn't know how they would switch to kind of the Thor style. And it's really good. It's got the detail. It's got the facial expressions that people like Martin Coccolo set the pace for. And they're running with it. It's great. Now, Josh, what happens next in our issue? Once we've got Zeus revealing himself, Thor and Hercules wax poetic about how this is godly business. And what happens next?
Well, first off, Zeus has never looked cooler than he does in this comic. Like I've seen Dark Zeus before, but this is my favorite version of him. The way the lightning comes off of him looks so cool with that blue skin. Very, very cool. But I do love how he is all fury with very little impact here. He's throwing his lightning bolts, and Thor just says, "Turn." And just sends it away. Like he cannot land a blow with his lightning bolts, and it's just driving him absolutely bonkers that we're so casually dismissing his lightning. Like, oh yeah, no, I am also a god of thunder. This is no problem for me. I'm an all father. You're a sky father. It doesn't matter. We're fine here. Just very, very antagonistic towards Zeus here in the funniest way possible, I think.
Yeah, I've read a lot of Thor comics, and I can't remember it happening this frequently, that Thor just talks to the lightning and gets it to move away. Like, maybe it's the all-fatherness of it all, but just the way that he consistently goes, "Why are you being mean to me? You're my buddy, Lightning. It's not supposed to be like that." And then it like apologizes and moves out of the way for him all the time is just hilarious. Now, he talks about the business of Sky Fathers, and Nyx has a pretty banger line in response to that, right? She goes, "Only Sky Fathers? Because the Sky Mother would speak with you all." And we get her in too. So now we've got Thor and Hercules against Dark Zeus and Nyx. And we'll have to see what happens, because are they going to fight? Are they on the same team? I don't know. Josh, Eric, what do you think happens next?
Well, it's the first time that Zeus is able to confront Nyx since she killed him. So he is pointing that out, like, you killed me. And then they have a chance for a sort of a sassy exchange where, Nyx is basically said, and I would that my snapping of your fat neck had taken, like if he had stayed dead. So she's clearly, she's not just coming right out being like, oh, I'm on Zeus's side. She's a whole other variable here, and we know that she's at her most powerful in this completely pitch black realm. So I mean, honestly, probably on the same power level as Zeus here because of the sort of dimension that they're in. It's where she's at her strongest.
I would say she's even stronger than him right now. She might be the strongest person in this world at this stage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that, Faz. That page also, there's a splash page where she's kind of like talking down to everybody. And it's that turn of the page when it goes from, the chirp of the crickets and then and the moon that hangs overhead. And that splash page is magnificent. That looks so, like, again, I said Zeus has never looked cooler. I don't think Nyx has ever looked cooler than this page right here. Mm-hmm. This is great stuff. And the way this like darkened moon hangs overhead, it looks just incredibly epic. I hate to overuse the word epic, but in this comic, it fits.
It does remind me of another reference here. This also reminds me of the Tony Stark, you threw a moon at me, sort of a reference from...
Do that again and I'm going to lose it. Yeah.
Great.
And the juxtaposition too between I'm as gentle as a cricket and I'm going to throw the moon at you now is a very fun back and forth there. Thor, to his credit, continues to be quick-witted, right? He's not on Earth anymore. He can think things through, and he realizes that we can survive the moon, but like, why would we do that when we could move 3 inches to the left and miss the moon? Summons the dimensional winds and gets them the hell out of there. Zeus gets bonked, though. He doesn't care. He's going to take it like a champ. And Hercules is a little embarrassed that they moved. But Thor, again, to his credit, this run has been a lot about how, in the past, Thor has been trying to take everything full force no matter what. Now he knows there are times to take it and times when you need to avoid and figure it out next time. You might think that's a great thing that he's learned, but as the second half of this issue shows us, sometimes you got to take it, right, guys? So what happens right after they escape and are in a different part of this realm, but not gone fully?
Well, so we know that, I love the fact that they're actually using the dimensional winds. I think if you're a hero with a teleportation ability, you would use that all the time, right? You try to get out of things with that. So that makes sense. But they're only able to, go laterally within this dimension. They can't actually leave it because the rune magic is really the most powerful thing here. Like, even the other gods can't leave because the rune magic is holding them in place. So they have to figure this rune riddle out first. They can run around all they want in this dimension, but they're really going to have to solve this. Loki shows up with Hercules' sister Athena, the goddess of wisdom. She doesn't have a whole lot of lines. She's kind of in like this daze, and I think that she was similar like that in Guardians of the Galaxy. She would give sort of prophetic statements, but wasn't very conversational. And so she doesn't have a huge part here, but it's really interesting that she does make an appearance, and she, is dropping hints, and they've got to get down to the business of solving this riddle. It's the second trial. We want to know what happens. What's the weapon that you get, and how do you get out of this?
And just the idea that, like, Loki just loves Athena. Like, you've got another prophetic person. Since her wheel turn, she's got wisdom beyond wisdom. Loki's like, I am into this. That is fantastic. Love this girl. Thank you for giving me a friend, basically, for this mission. And it wouldn't be a Hercules trial if there weren't more Hercules characters involved, right? So it's nice where Thor kind of gives Loki shit for saying, I will accept you for all of your aspects, including the villain. But why do you keep hurting my friends about this? And Loki has to remind Thor, this is not a game. We are not having fun. You are getting trials to become the best version of yourself so you can defeat whatever's coming down the road. And sometimes that involves losing your brother Hermod. Sometimes that involves hanging out with Hercules so that Eric has a reason to pay attention to Ryan and I again.
And yeah, I think that's an important point. Like it's also providing some justification of the story of like, yeah, why is Hercules here? Why is this? It's not just a guest star appearance. It's Athena is saying, some trials cannot be avoided, that really it's as much Hercules' trial as it is Thor's. And now they're both being introspective about it. This is another, again, character development for Hercules, where I so appreciate the fact that modern writers are sticking to the fact that he's not this blumbering oaf, right? That they're letting him have some aspects of wisdom while keeping his personality playful. So I think they're striking a really good balance. As a Herc stan, I can say I'm pleased with how it's been going so far.
Yeah, playful but not dumb, right? There's there's a difference between being like having the fun spirits for the adventures, but not just an idiot leading to problems, right? It's a really
hard
great
to do.
balance.
Yeah, it takes a lot of talent to really kind of strike that balance.
Yeah. So Josh, we flipped the page and something crazy happened. So we're ready for the next scenario here. What's the trial? What do they have to defeat?
Right before we get there, though, I have to point out that Loki bears a striking resemblance to Sigourney Weaver.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Do you not see it? I think I'm especially looking forward with the new Alien movie coming out this week. I'm just, my eyes are geared towards it, but I cannot look at that drawing of Loki and not see Sigourney Weaver. It's what I'm seeing.
That's
here.
a good call. I see it too.
Yeah. We're going to need to get her some antlers and some green lipstick and see how it connects. Yeah.
Yes. Put her through the MCU filter and see how it goes. And I do agree also with the way that Al Ewing has been writing both Hercules and Thor. Is some writers get into the trap of writing them as oafish, where they're like it's kind of like bumbling idiots. Too dumb for their own good, and that is not how they've been written so far by Al Ewing, which I'm always happy to see. You see it, I think, more so in like Avengers comics when like maybe the writer isn't too keen on like Thor and how they're normally written or how Hercules is normally written. But I do like that Al has been doing much better with their characterizations and how clever they both are, and not just being dumb brutes. I
think that comes from his respect for the source material, right? Like a lot of artists and writers will come in and say, this is my version of the character. Some of those tropes that they relearned over the course of their previous 600 issues, I want them to learn that again. So we're going to start with the more bumbling Thor, bumbling Hercules, and they're going to get there. But Al is not rebooting Thor. Al is taking everything that was before and putting it in a new Immortal direction, right? So Al is not going to take him, apart from when he's Chad Hammer, back to that original, very bumbling version, right? So certain parts on Earth, when he is bumbling, there is a written reason for it that we can't, that we've got, will probably be dealt with in Thor 15 or 16, to be honest. But so we flipped the page, guys, and we learned that Zeus and Nyx's fight has ended in the way that only Zeus and Nyx's fight could have ended. They have reached an accord and are maybe sort of getting married. They're holding hands. Their legions are behind them.
Most upsetting of all is when they say they're going to create a race of deathless gods. Don't like the sound of that. That does not sound great to me.
Yeah.
These two are a little bit off the rocker already. To have an endless race of god children that cannot be killed seems bad. Seems like
also romantic, though, right? Like bad and also romantic. Yeah. Can we all agree on that? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you love to see it.
Yeah.
But you hate to see it.
Yeah. Happy
Thor
for Dark Zeus.
Thor gets a quip in here. As All Father, I have the power to officiate at weddings, but I have to assume that's not why you're here.
That was a great line.
Yeah, that was great.
To go a little bit deeper on the, race of deathless gods and just the idea of like deathless gods to begin with, Gaia is not down with that. Gaia thinks that anything alive needs to be growing and changing at all times. And she really does not like when things are staying the same. She's actively, I think that was one of her reasons why she was trying to sabotage Uranus in the beginning anyway, because he, unlike the seasons, wanted to remain the same. And so she's like, I'm going to throw a wrench in that. That's kind of her jam. It's just like things need to evolve. Things need to keep turning. And so this Zeus Nyx alliance, where they are sort of wishing that things could just be the same and having the deathless god odds. It kind of flies in the face of, one of the longer arcs and themes that Guy has been sort of preaching.
Exactly. And then, it's action time, listeners, because Zeus is done listening to the fun lore. He's done making cool splash panels. He's here throwing shit now. And the first thing he does is aim at our aspect storyteller Loki. And Thor, like he does, makes the lightning turn. That continues for a few too many panels, I think. It's the right amount for the story, but funny for Thor trying to figure out what he's got to do, where Zeus keeps throwing, Thor keeps saying turn. Nyx asks if she should help, like any good betrothed wife would. No, this is my fight. Please don't do that. And Hercules shares some wisdom that helps Thor with at least moving forward in this task, eh? Eric, he's your guy. Why don't you tell us what Hercules figures out?
Hercules is watching all this happen, and he says, but some fates cannot be avoided. And he's the one who gives Thor the idea to, it's not about stopping or ricocheting these lightning bolts. It's about enduring them and about facing them head on. And so really the idea is don't dance around the lightning, just run right into it. And so Thor rushes into Zeus, and I like the line about, something along the lines of, weren't your worshipers, big into wrestling? He's going to just wrestle Zeus up close.
Yes.
Yeah, so good. Josh, what do you think of these panels on these pages?
I love these pages. I love the line from Hercules to take it like a god, which as soon as he says that, and I realize where this was going, it's not that you should be dodging the lightning or casting it away. It's that you should be taking it into yourself. But like the panel layout on the first page, especially, where it's like 2, 4, 6, 8 panels like side by side, and then one at the bottom. I think it looks really cool. It kind of gives it it kind of speeds up the action a little bit so that it doesn't feel too redundant. And then it kind of turns into not a full splash, but like a 3/4 splash page where he and Zeus are grappling with each other. And he's just really good at getting under Zeus's skin. Thor is just really good at annoying him, which is kind of the whole point here. To try to get him to unload on him.
Yeah. Well, and given what Eric taught us, the line, you would lay your grubby, lowborn hands on the father of Olympus, has a lot of different meaning, right? Because that's your uncle, man. He's pretty highborn if we're going to be comparing anything, Zeus. Does that make you lowborn too, sir? Because that's going to make him sad. This elitist, hoping to never die god we've had going on here. Well,
I love it. They do. Zeus, wants to compare worshipers. He wants to, let's bring up the worshipers and compare them, and keeps calling Thor's worshipers, grubby squatters in huts and things like that. And he's like, my worshipers invented philosophy. So it's like, well, we don't really care, and Thor knows it's not about how many people are worshiping you. It's not about being worshipped. That's not what makes you a worthy god.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Eric, because I was going to get back to that as well. This idea that my worshipers are of a higher class, of a higher character than your worshipers. This elitist attitude when you're talking about two all-powerful deities here. It's so this should be so beneath Zeus to trade these kinds of barbs, but they have no effect on Thor whatsoever. There's a time when Thor would have reacted very poorly to that kind of attack from Zeus, that kind of verbal attack. And this Thor is just so much more mature and self-confident than maybe we've ever seen, and just goes along with it. Doesn't bat an eye. I'm just going to take these barbs, and then I'm going to take your power.
and that comes back to what Al's doing with the whole. This is the Thor as All-Father, not needing to fail at that, but he's the fully realized version of himself. No questions of worthiness, no questions if he's good enough. I've got a job to do. I know how to do it. I'm going to do it with a smile. It might get dark, but I myself am not going to be dark, right? And we get a beautiful splash page of Zeus really ready to lay it on Thor when he tries to summon the lightning inside of Thor to hurt him. And Hercules in the corner, because this issue's got a lot more wit than we give it credit for, says, of course, I have been wrong before, to say, is this going to work, or did I just condemn my buddy to death? We'll have to find out in the next few panels, right, guys? So
Yeah,
he
I love
starts,
that.
yeah, just some amazing stuff with even Nyx and Hercules watching and being like, oh, what's going to happen here? Is he getting beat? Is he dying? Is it what he wants? Why isn't he fighting back? And we get kind of the point of the rune, right? The rune of endurance. Hercules says, Thor endures. And Zeus says, this will not end, Thor. I will not stop until one of us is dead. And Thor says, I would have it no other way. Let loose all thy power. It sears me to the bone, but I open myself to it. And this was the point of the issue where if you didn't realize what Thor was doing, it's now becoming clear what he's trying to do. And just like you guys alluded to, he's taking his power. He's absorbing it like a sponge. Maybe he's got a magic belt that's doing that. Maybe it's just inside of him because of the rune of his name. But he is facing the test head on and enduring in a way just like his guy Hercules wanted him to. Josh, you want to talk a bit about the Hercules Nyx conversation while Thor's in the background getting the loving crap beat out of him?
Again, this is such a great moment for Hercules, where again he's being treated with the respect that he deserves. I'm sure Eric is loving this page, where Hercules basically negotiates with Nyx and is saying, like, "Hey, you want to rule and to reign. You're in this dimension that is darkness, where you are at your most powerful. Can't you build here? Can't you create your own kingdom here? Isn't this what you would always want? Like, isn't this a win for you, essentially?" He even says, is this not thy true place of power? I mean, that's the perfect line. And the way that Jan draws her face, like her eyes upon realizing that this is what I want, this is perfect for me. It's such a great moment of realization where this character who could sometimes come across as kind of a two-dimensional villain, just kind of evil. I think in this moment, I say her humanity, but maybe her godliness is more more accurate. Nice. But she does have this like moment of like realization and just kind of a softness to her that you don't usually see. And I think that really speaks well to how good of an orator Hercules is, that he's able to convince her with his words, not with fighting her, not throwing punches, being vengeful, none of that. Just, hey, this is what you want, right? Like you should be happy with this, and she is.
Yeah, Eric, you must have loved these couple pages of doing the Immortal Thor thing of I don't need to solve this with my powers. I can just talk through it. What did you think for our guy Hercules here?
First of all, Hercules is a beefy boy, and he's never looked better in some of these panels. And I love the one with Nyx where she has the star-speckled gloves, and she's gigantic, and her children are in the background. It's just such a beautiful composition, and yeah, it's putting him in such a good light where he's showing that he can bring mercy into the conversation. And he forgives Nyx. He is showing that, let's move past this. We are, immortal beings that live on, and it's really, we don't need to be bound by these roles or these squabbles. And he's sort of trying to take the high road against somebody who killed his entire family and all of his relatives, yeah. And not so long ago. So really trying to turn over a new leaf there, and Nyx, I think, is convinced by it, but then she is still sort of bound in this dimension that she can't leave. So it's not over quite yet. On the next page there, I thought this was pretty awesome. She waves her children away. Very similar to how she was tricked into killing them in Avengers: No Road Home, where Monica Rambeau created an illusion that caused Nyx to accidentally sort of snap out. She thought she was snapping away Hercules and Vision, and she was really killing two of her own kids. She does that in the exact exact same way here with like the red dust where they sort of drift off. But this time it's intentional because these children, all except Hypnos, which is sort of like her firstborn, her truest son, the others were all born out of her trauma. They were all born out of her spite and her want for revenge. But really, Hypnos was really her first son. And so I think this is all very poetic here. She's realizing that these children that were really her like darkest emotions, she doesn't need them anymore. And if she needs them back later, she can find them. She knows how to get them back, but she's dispensing with them and really showing that she's trying to go down this new path as well.
Yeah, that's exactly right, man. Like the change from her scary, angry, evil children to the one dreaming, the most important part of the night, the one where the most purest form is the one who remains, who's also looking very Thor-like in that image, let me say, is really poetic. And the idea that Hercules is all proud of himself and is like, all right, we can go home now, right, Loki? We did it. Go team. We figured it out. Is very nice. And Loki's like, it's not me, bro. This rune is not pleased yet. And Athena says, Thor's test has only begun. And we get to see some crazy splash panels of a consistently shrinking Zeus and a consistently growing Thor. Again, maybe a giant-sized Thor, but not the giant-sized Thor. To be clear, listeners, that's in a couple weeks. Get fired up. And we see what's really a fun quote here. The Zeus says, "You should be naught but an ember in the face of this power. You should be burning as fuel." And Thor gives up the game and tells people like me who are slower what's actually going on here. It's a fitting analogy, Zeus, for one of us is fuel. This is the business of Skyfathers, the all power. You pour yours into me as if I were not already the vessel for it. You've graciously given so much. Now give me the rest. Give me it all. And he drains Zeus from this very strong, evil-looking, negative Zeus to this sickly, skinny, dying old man. What do you guys think of our guy Thor figuring this out in a very interesting way?
I didn't even realize that Zeus was starting to wither until I didn't realize it until I saw it on like one of the later panels where he was especially drained and feeble. But yeah, the old I drain your power game. I mean, it's sort of a comic trope these days. I mean, I read a lot of Captain Marvel as well, and she'll drain power. So the drain power thing, it can be a little bit overplayed, but this one, it makes a lot of sense because Thor, the word vessel really rang out to me, where it's like, if you are not meant to hold this all power, it's going to be incredibly destructive to you. But if you are the appropriate vessel for it, if you are like insulated or the right kind of container that can hold it, then you are like a battery being fueled up. So in that sense, it's not as dangerous, and it's actually like you're meant to be possessing that kind of power. And now you're just filled to the max. So I thought that word vessel did a lot of work clarifying this for me. It was like, okay, yeah. So how do you go from destructive lightning to using it to actually be stronger than ever before?
Mr. Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, I really want to touch on the panel layout for these two pages, because it's told less like, page one, page two. It's like one double page splash almost, but with multiple panels. So it's like, these growing panels from left to right that get a little bigger, a little bigger, a little bigger until you're almost in a splash. Really creative layout. I don't know that I've ever really seen it exactly like this before, to be honest. This is another great example. I would love to know if Al wrote it out this way in his script, or if Jan took it upon themselves to do it this way. But regardless, it looks fantastic. It brings a lot of like dynamic energy to each panel. So that it really does feel like it's building and building and building, or in Zeus's case, shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. But it looks great. And then it's a very triumphant moment on that last page, that pseudo splash there at the end.
Yeah, it's triumphant there. And then we get a little ominous at the end of this issue, guys? We're into the final 2 pages here. The power of Zeus and the power of Odin in one god. Sounds pretty good to me. I like a powerful Thor. He's got to level up to beat these Utgard people that are coming around. What do you guys think of our big twist ending to end this particular issue of Thor looking a lot more blue than he normally does? telling Hercules he's got nothing to fear because of what Thor sees. The last panel of this issue, guys. What is it that Thor can finally see clearly?
The wheel.
The wheel.
Dun dun dun. The wheel.
The wheel hath turned for a
great
terrifying
title drop, right? That title drop on the last page with the blue Thor with the wheel on the face. God, that's good.
It is so good.
Baby Zeus had the wheel on his face way back in the beginning. So the shadow that the key was making over his eyes actually changed into a wheel shape at the bottom of that page. And so now we're seeing the same motif, the shadow of the wheel across the face.
And it's, I think, the third time in the issue we've got the wheel too, because Loki even said once Athena's wheel turned, they unlocked new wisdom, right? So this is the theme of this run. The wheel has turned, the balance of power has shifted, and things need to be done because of it. What do you guys think is going to happen next? Are we getting an evil Thor that has to endure the pull of the wheel and come out stronger instead of being evil like our guy Zeus?
How are they going to get out of this? They can't leave the realm until the rune says they can't. So they got to solve the riddle first. Just because you're blue doesn't mean you can leave the rune realm. I mean, you're still stuck in there.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. He is pretty blue, though. If anybody can get out of there, it would be this guy. Any guesses, guys? How are they going to get through it in 15?
I'm dying to know because I really don't know where this is going. This is not an ending that I saw coming. So kudos to Al for writing this. I love the blue word bubbles from Thor after he absorbs all that power. It just, I don't know, it really jumps off the page with it's a solid blue word bubble basically with white text in it, and it just looks very ominous. Just the way it's written out on the page. I'm pumped. I can't wait to see this is
a good chance to shout out VC's Joe Sabino. Fucking killing it, buddy. The way that you've got these, the way that you've got the lettering going, the way that you've got the different designs like that. Keep on being the greatest of all time letterer as you go. We are big fans here. This is one of your finest issues with all those sorts of details. But yeah, I have no idea. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if it's one of those you wrap it up in the first 3 pages to get to the next part of the story. And it's like, don't worry about it. It'll come up in 7 issues. For now, Thor's just not blue and he's good. Or if they're going to need to fight it head on, because 15 is supposed to be about Asgard. And we're not in Asgard. We're in this shadowy realm right now, right? This eternal night area.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to spend at least like a good half of that issue explaining all of this. Like, explain yourselves. This is a really important piece in not just the plot of the current arc, but in the entire run of these trials and these runes. We need some explanations here of what's the prize at the end of it, and what's the solution to this riddle. Did he not endure all of it to the max? I mean, he endured everything, but they're still in there.
I think it's got to be enduring the pull of the wheel. That's my guess. Where I'm planting my flag on that we're going to find out next month that it's because of the way that Zeus was being of the bringing that he was tempted by it and was like, I'm going to make a master race of evil gods. Whereas Thor is going to be able to pull back, maybe with the help from his best friend Hercules, who can talk some sense into him with the wisdom. And then we'll go from there. That's my guess. I'm keeping it there. I will be wrong, and what's going to happen is he's just going to not be blue next issue, and 8 issues from now it'll come back up. But that's my guess, guys. If anybody wants to plant a flag and take a shot at it, this is your chance.
I think there's something to that about, Zeus was cursed with the Wheel of Fate, and so I think the idea of it is if you can resist fate and rewrite the story and write your own story, then that is a way that you are defying fate, that you are going against the story. I mean, there's so many different ways to turn that. I mean, it could be, narratively, right? With Loki as the scald of realms and the storytelling. So changing the story midway through could be a way that you show that you're enduring. It could be breaking the curse that Gaia put on Zeus as a baby, where she cursed him with the Wheel of Fate. I mean, that could be the way that it happens. And then maybe the gift at the end, maybe the prize you get is like a little wheel, a little souvenir, like a wheel that you get, like Tyrannus had.
I wouldn't mind that. And a nice little wheel weapon to go with it. And maybe at the end, each member of the Thor Corps is going to get something, right? Beta Ray Thor can have Tormod. We could give Loki the wheel of fate because there are truth tellers. A lot of things we could do with that if it's going to be weapons each time, or if it's his magic belt, or maybe a some sort of harness. It could turn into some sort of magical artifact that'll help Thor at the end of this Utgard god fight. Right. So that's a good idea, Mr. Josh. Anything else you want to add to our ridiculous guessing that Al will certainly tell us we're wrong next month?
I feel like it's going to have something to do with him humbling himself with all this power because Zeus was not able to. I feel like it has to be something like that. I don't know exactly how it'll be pulled off because Al's way too clever to just make it be that simple. But I'm sure there's going to be something along those lines. I did also just want to say, we haven't said his name enough, but Matt Hollingsworth on this issue, just killing it.
So good. So
Some
good.
of the best color work that I've ever seen him do. This is really, really good stuff. Those blues in particular just jump off the page, each and every page. So kudos to Matt.
That is a good point. To make a blue Zeus and a blue Thor and not make him look like Papa Smurf, you got to find just the right way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They're standing on the shoulders of giants with Matt Wilson and Martin Coccolo, and they're meeting the challenge. If this was their rune of challenge here, we know that Thor's in good shape right now. They are bringing the A game. Thor is staying as one of those primo Marvel books where we've got god tier writing, god tier drawing, and god tier coloring in a way that it deserves when it's got the Immortal title like this. So, I guess maybe we should shout out Will Moss for keeping some dream teams together as we go here. Shifting people around, stealing some of our favorites, but putting us with some new favorites that we're going to really enjoy over the next, hopefully, 50 plus issues, like Al promised us near the beginning. Gentlemen,
to paraphrase the quote earlier, this really does feel like godly business. I mean, this is the kind of stuff where it feels like a Thor run because it is dealing with this godly business, and it's still clearly a part of the Marvel universe, but something that only a Thor story can bring us.
And so big that it almost dwarfs the big summer Avengers events. I don't know about you guys, but I liked Blood Hunt a lot, but it kind of seemed like, can we get back to this giant story that Thor's doing right now? Like every character in Marvel is doing the Blood Hunt crossover, sure, but like the gods of the universe are coming unglued, and we got to deal with that soon. Gentlemen, before we move on to a few little fun things that are at the end of this issue, final thoughts on the issue itself. Thor, the wheel. What do we think? Anything else that we haven't hit on that needs to be said?
Honestly, go ahead, Eric. Go ahead.
I was going to say, just a great combination of exposition, history, mythology, and action. I mean, it's packed in there. This was nonstop, super enjoyable. Can get a little dense. I mean, if you're not interested in diving into this and like learning about all the names they're dropping, I think you could just kind of gloss over that and just read that as like, oh, prologue, whatever. Let's get to the action. But for somebody who like me who wants to kind of be diving into this stuff, just those little Easter eggs in there are so much fun to pick through, and they're very dense, but it doesn't take away from the rest of the action and the fun and the adventure.
Definitely. Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. This is like the perfect issue for me. Like, this is what I want out of a Thor comic. It's that perfect mix of mythology and really diving deep into that mythology, but also making it a action-packed story at the same time. This is one of my favorite issues of the whole run so far. I thought this was a fantastic issue. Like I said early on, I'm glad you called me in to talk about this one because it's one of the best ones in a while. So,
look, it was too good of an issue for Ryan Doze and Will Rose. They were not. This is my world. I specifically refuse to allow them here because it's too cool for them. Right? This is especially thinking about Simonson. Ryan and I talked about Simonson last week, and listeners, please go check that one out. It's a great one. There are very few writers who can weave a story this deep while setting tones for things going further, lore building, and making 23 pages feel like 60 pages. And this is Al Ewing at his best. This is the second coming of Walt Simonson at his best. There are lots of great Thor writers. Donny Cates did a great job. Obviously, Jason Aaron is maybe the greatest of all time. But the ability to put that much depth in this, where We're not just telling the issue for today, but the issue today has way more than enough to keep a story going. But we're stacking on top of each other so that on Thor issue 48, all of these different things have come to roost is just God tier writing. I know we've been kind of saying epic and God tier and whatever other phrases we can use as much as possible. But this is Al absolutely swinging at his best. And it's nice to see because while the Earth and Roxxon stuff was very cool, this epic stuff, this big buildup, this overarching plot is the thing that we want Immortal Thor for. And that's what we're getting. We are pushing the meta narrative, and I can't wait to see where it goes. Now, I've got two more quick hits that I want to talk about. The first thing I want to know is, do you guys look at previews or solicitations for upcoming books?
I do.
Yeah, I'll definitely look at covers. Sometimes I will read the synopsis. Sometimes I don't know. I don't want to know if it's like spoiling stuff, but usually it's written in a way where it's vague and it doesn't really tell you too much. So yeah, I look at solicitations. I'm not usually too worried about it.
Okay, well, I will be vague as possible, but to say, if you're a fan of one of the classic Thor runs of the last 25 years that is not Simonson and is not Aaron and might come at the end of Jurgens but is not Jurgens, you're going to want to check out the giant-sized Thor for reasons that are frankly mind-blowing. But I won't talk about why, other than it's going to be fun. That's the first thing to tease. We will cover that issue, listeners. Will it be the three of us? Will it be Ryan Doe's out of Utgard jail? Who knows? Will it be Will on his own? It's possible. Will Rose could be. Maybe Will get the other Wills. Mr. Spotted Bear and Will Rose will be here. We will be around here. The last thing we need to talk about today, and we're only going to briefly touch on it, so Ryan gets to talk about it later, is the If They Be Wordy segment. There is a letter in here from our Commander-in-Chief himself, listeners. I don't want to talk too much about the specifics. I want Ryan to be able to talk about it himself on the pod. But boys, what'd you think to see our loving liege, our liege lord, get himself etched into the Immortal Thor canon like this?
That's so cool. I mean, no one can take that away. That's going to be in this issue for all time. People will be looking back at Marvel Unlimited 50 years from now, and all that, it's going to be right there in the issue. It's always a part of the story, always a part of the comic from now for all time. So that's amazing. A little bit of Ryan is going to be immortal in that issue forever.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's what I told him in Discord. I was like, "You're immortal. You're immortal now. That's going to be forever. That's always going to be like people will come across that 50 years from now." So that's just a cool thing. Anytime you get a letter printed in a comic like this, it's a cool thing. Just it's something that people will see forever. So very, very cool. Very happy 100%. For it.
You guys are both nice, so I'll be mean for a second. Listeners, this is the fact he could put his thoughts into 3 paragraphs when I know how much he loves this stuff just shows this man must have put 30 hours into getting those perfect 3 paragraphs. And I'm really happy for him that he got published here. That is awesome, Ryan. I can't wait to hear what you think about it. I've seen some reactions online, but it's not the same as hearing you talk about it. Listeners, if you like what we do here, we have a Patreon. If you want to join the Thor Corps, if you want to be one of our Asgardians, like I think either all 3 of us are or a couple of us are, and we'll listen. We all love Across the Bifrost here. We have a Discord where Josh is very active and we get to learn a whole bunch of stuff via him. If you want to support us, the best thing to do is to listen to us. The second best thing to do is to help us out on Patreon so that Ryan, Will, and I can keep reading these books, keep updating and keep bringing in new friends like the Mangog. Who would have thought that the Mangog likes Thor comics? And like the Prince of Power himself. Boys, thank you so much for joining us today. Please tell the listeners where they can find you in case you want to share some more stuff as it goes. Josh, why don't you go first?
Yeah, you can find me at joshlink.substack.com. Write a bunch of pop culture stuff, comics, movies, novels, this and that. Nerdy stuff for the most part. So if you like nerd stuff, which if you're listening to this podcast, good chance.
If you made it through an hour, you definitely do, right?
And then also episode might be out by the time this comes out, but I have become the co-host for Gamma Charge, the strongest podcast there is, along with Russ and Justin. So it's the Hulk podcast that those two have been doing for a while. So.
I picked a Hulk guy for my Thor podcast. Ryan is not going to let me live that down.
Yeah, so recorded my first episode not that long ago, so that should be coming out soon. But yeah, I'm going to be covering the Jeff Loeb Red Hulk story. So if you're into that, with the movie coming out soon, give that a listen.
Listeners, Hulk's one of the best Marvel characters. He's not the best, but he's pretty great. So that's a great thing. That's awesome, Josh. Congrats.
Thanks.
Eric, where can we find you?
You can chat me up in the Discord. That'd be a lot of fun to connect on there. I don't have a lot of people IRL or in real life, as the kids say, to chat comics with. So I love being able to connect with people online. I'm on Instagram at Eric Teskey. It's, a mix of suburban Indianapolis stuff, the occasional mirror gym selfie, and links to this show. So
it's not just that. You're also building up that Hercules bod for Halloween. Let's go. I want to see a Hercules cosplay.
The clock's ticking. I got to get on it.
I'm so sorry, buddy. You got to do Mangog now.
That'll be tricky.
You chose that yourself. I've held this in for the whole hour.
Yeah.
That was your own decision. Listeners, you can find me at Asgardian on pretty much every sort of social media. You can also find me on at Mighty Thor Podcast with Ryan. We are going to be doing stuff all the time on there. Get very fired up. We've got a lot of Thor coming. We're truly in one of the golden ages of the Asgardian God of Thunder for comics, movies, TV shows. He's everywhere. We're everywhere. We got more Simonson coming. We got more new Thor comics coming. We've got to do a Faz birthday spectacular soon, so I've got to decide what I want to subject Ryan and Will to at some point. So we'll taking suggestions. Feel free to comment on any of our recent posts with something terrible that I would love and they would hate. And other than that, guys, thank you for listening today, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. We're going to hop up on that rainbow bridge, and I want you all to stay